Okay, welcome everyone to our monthly webinar. We do several, but this is a highlighted webinar. This first one of 2022, and we're so fortunate to have our Agent Association leadership from Colombia, Brazil, and Argentina. I'm going to have them introduce themselves in just a second, but I just wanted to remind our membership, people on the call, that these special associations are part of a new category for EnglishUSA. They are our strategic affiliates. And the goal here is to resource share, do some information sharing, keep each other updated on the markets, and then also changes that happen on this end in the US with policy, etc. So I'm going to switch it to the speakers so that they can introduce themselves. I never know, sometimes I go alphabetically by country, then by name, then by association, so I'll let them pick. But we're gonna have a moderated discussion from questions that you all submitted, and each person's going to share some of their thoughts. And then if we have time, we will share, we'll do some open questions, some questions from the audience. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen there. And Felipe, can you introduce yourself first?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, thank you for having us. Cheryl, hello to everyone. I hope this is going to be of any help to you. I am Felipe. I am the president of ANEX, the association in Colombia. I've been kind of in front of the association for about 5 years now. I'm also the owner and general manager of Estudia Colombia and Latin America. We have presence as an agency in 12 different countries in Latin America. And it's a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Great. And Gabby?
Hi, Cheryl. Thanks for the invitation. Hello, everyone. Felipe and Alexandre. My name is Gabriela, and I'm from Argentina. I'm the president of ARSAA, the Argentine Association of Educational Consultants, born in 2016. We are currently 20 members, and we work with different destinations all over the world, of course, but our main market, particularly for language courses, is the UK.
And Alexandre.
Hello, everyone. It's nice being here with you once again. I hope to help bring in a positive news about the Brazilian market to all of you. I am the current president of the Brazilian Education and Language Travel Association, BELTA. We represent nowadays over 550 education agents in Brazil, covering about 75% of our market. BELTA it has been the first agency association in Latin America, and maybe one of the first ones in the whole world. So it has been in existence for over 30 years. So it's always a great responsibility to be here speaking in front of the association. So I really hope we can give you some good updates today and anytime you may need us. My pleasure.
Great, thank you all three, and for everybody who's come today. So if we could start, and we can take turns starting. So Alexandra, if you want to take this one first, can you give us an update on the number of agencies in your association, where they're located? I picked the biggest country first, right? Where they're located, the type of agencies, and in particular, this is going to be a running theme, but we will be asking questions about the English language training piece of your member associations.
So maybe as I just said, officially we have 42 companies associated to our association in Brazil. In Brazil, it's very common for a couple of international education companies to have several offices throughout the country. We are a huge country, so when a company gets larger, it starts opening new offices in different cities. So, all these 42 companies put together more than 550 agents in Brazil throughout the country. So I consider the Brazilian market a very mature market in international education for at least for the past 5 to 10 years already. So, you know, sometimes I always say this, I don't really see that there's much new stuff in the Brazilian market, international education, because it has been here for so long already. So, you know, our agents, they are all over the country, you know, just about every single main city in Brazilian land has an international education company. And in the main capitals, especially, several of these companies are there. So, you know, when you look at Brazil, you know, if you are looking for new partners, look at the main cities, and for sure, you're going to find good partners in those places. So, if this, I believe this is the question, right?
Yeah. And how about Gabby?
Well, pretty much the same. I was talking about 20 agencies, but in fact, it's 20 companies with different branches all over the country. Argentina is a quite big country as well. So any region in the country you want to find an ARSAA agency, you'll be able to do it. Language courses, we offer language courses all over the world. As I said before, the UK is our main market, but now things are changing, particularly after the pandemic. I mean, the movement of students is shifting more to the northern part of America instead of across the Atlantic. So we have started to see a lot of interest in the US and in Canada.
I'm glad for you. I'm glad to hear that from you, because I'm sure that question's going to come up. You know, the appeal for the UK versus the US, Canada, and vice versa. So we'll be following up with that. And how about Felipe?
Well, we have presence in the whole country. I mean, ANEX has been running since 2001. We have 22 members. That's about 80 to 90 branches of these 22 agents. We have the peculiarity, different to another associations in Latin America, no ARSAA and BELTA, that we separate, and we would like to keep the association focus on agents. But even though this is the main goal, we accept partners to share the knowledge, to be part of us. And we have 10 different partners divided in 2 different areas. One of them are providers, service providers like insurers, and they are members, partners of ANEX. And we have schools and institutions that are also partners of the association. These partners are joining us in a big conference during the year. They are getting insights and information from our partners. And we also have 7 different honorary partners like embassies, government, etc. We are welcoming everyone in Colombia. We have presence in the whole region, and we are here to help you. So if you are looking for an agent in Colombia, then perhaps, I mean, it's not obligation, you can come to Marcela, is here somewhere, the director of ANEX, and she will give you the list of all our agents so we can help you. Colombia is a growing market. It's been growing for the last 5 to 8 years. Is very interesting, and probably we are going to discuss this one a little bit further down, but we have had a transformation in regards to the products. So it's a very interesting market to get into.
And Felipe, we'll stick with you, moving on to the top destinations. Gabby had mentioned for Argentinians, it was the UK for a while, and for Colombia, for English language in particular, what are the top destinations around the world, and perhaps particularly for the US or Canada, maybe even destinations within the country itself for English language training?
Yeah, for the English language at this moment in time is Canada, US, and Australia start picking up, because as long as, I mean, borders are closed and others are opening, the students are just moving naturally to where the country is hosting them. So Australia is growing. So at this moment, Canada, US, Malta, and Australia is picking up. Usually in Colombia is Canada and Australia, and then US. So this is a great opportunity for institutions in US to come into the market and take advantage of this trend that we are having now.
Thank you. And Alexandra?
Yeah, actually, it's quite similar to Colombia, but in Brazil, Canada has been pretty big. The US has always been here. Australia and New Zealand are picking up now with the opening the borders, especially Australia. New Zealand is still not there. But the UK and also Ireland are very important for the Brazilian market. So, you know, with the comeback, let's say with the opening borders during the pandemic, happening first in the United States for Brazilians than to many other countries, it has helped a lot for the ESL sales to raise again in the United States. So it's a great opportunity right now, as Felipe just said. You know, and then I know we're not here to discuss this, but you know, the United States is also a very important country for international education in Brazil, especially because it also offers some visas for work programs, like summer work and travel, J1 programs, like au pair, those kind of programs. So they're really popular. You know, every time we look at the Brazilian market, the numbers in international education, they grow in places where the students can also study and work at the same time. So, you know, we end up putting together work and study programs. If, you know, somehow, you know, as the United States is already open, you know, for international students to work there in certain programs, if ESL students could maybe have some kind of official job or work a spot of doing their, you know, their student visa or during their time there, this would really just boom the market there, you know. So this would just, it would be the dream. So just to point out something different here to bring to your attention that what we see here in Brazil.
Thank you. And EnglishUSA as an association keeps its eye very much so on that, on the J1 exchange program with the work that the Alliance does in protecting that program. So I appreciate you bringing that up. And I know that you're also referring to different other possibilities that might be there. How about Gabby? Oh, did Gabby freeze on us?
I kind of lost connection. Am I okay? I was listening to Alexander, and I think he's absolutely right about Ireland, for example. I mean, there is a huge demand in Argentina for Ireland because they can study and work at the same time. So the work component for students is really, really interesting in these times, particularly in Argentina, because due to the devaluation process, I mean, our money has lost a lot of power. So students need to gather the money for a long time before they travel. And it's important for them to be able to work and get some money as well.
Great, thanks. We'll talk about some other challenges and opportunities in a second, but one question that came up often from our members in the survey that we did, it's out of curiosity, I believe, is how, and we'll start with Gabby here. How do you find the students and clients, et cetera, who come to you? I mean, how do you recruit your clients?
That varies on each agency, on the style of each agency, of course. But in our case, I mean, if I have to talk about my own agency for just a second, we do rely on word of mouth quite a lot because we have vast experience, and I mean, for many years we get students' recommendations, and that's the best way. I mean, word of mouth. But we also use our website, social media channels. We participate in fairs, well, virtual fairs in the last 2 years, of course. We visit high schools. We have agreements with different companies. I mean, there are different sort of techniques in order to recruit students. But we are really persistent. And we, as Latins, we do have the tendency to develop a relationship with the student and with the student's family so that they feel accompanied all the way, not only during the recruitment process, but also while they apply for a certain program. And then once the student travels to destination, we keep in touch with them all the time, and we try to make sure that they have the experience of a lifetime. And I think that's where success lies, because the student feels accompanied, and then of course they recommend your products and services.
Thank you. I think a lot of intensive English and pathway programs would say the same thing, that thrive, applying and then thriving and continuing that support is so important with starting with word of mouth.
I wanted to kind of highlight this because the work of the agent is paramount. We are not just brokers that connect an educator with a student and they book, we get paid our commission and that's it. No, our work is really, really hard. And I mean, we make sure that the program is successful. So it's good for the student, and it's also good for the institution because they will get more students if they have a good agent.
Great. And how about Alexandra? Where do you get your? I know it's a general question with the variety.
Honestly, I believe Gabi has just outspoke the issue. It's just about the same thing. We are a big country. We know that nowadays the social media, digital marketing is picking up all over the world and everything. We've noticed that especially during the pandemic, Brazilian families and students are more open nowadays to buy an international education program from an agent via online chatting or online, sales or something, as we're doing right here, right now. Not only physical presence, but having a very good office, to host your clients is something that's really reopening the doors right now and very important in Brazil, and it's going to be there forever. And it's really nice the way that Gabi mentioned the relationship of the agent and the student and the family. As you see, every time we speak about our clients, we end up thinking about their families, not about the student itself, because it becomes like a life project to everybody, and the agent gets really involved with his family here in Latin America. And this is really crucial to bring new clients by the word of mouth in the future. So we have several researches about our numbers and statistics and everything, and year by year, we always get to the same point. Over 75% of our clients come through the word of mouth. And then we just do the rest just to be there, to be there top of mind all over the place where we are. So.
Thank you. And Felipe, did you want to add anything to that from the Colombian perspective?
Yeah. Well, I think we Latinos, culturally speaking, we, apart from talking a lot, we are very close to each other. Our culture is a culture of hugging, kissing, creating bonds, and just feeling close to people. And that is reflected in the way that we bring the students, and the students talk to us. Even though this is changing, the students I'm going to speak for my agency, Extudia. In Extudia, we have a motto, and the motto, every single employee that comes to Extudia, I ask the same question: what is Extudia selling? And everyone is just saying English courses, university pathways. No, we sell trust and confidence. That's what we do. And that is reflected in our relationship, and that's related in the way that the market works. So after, you see, we talk a lot. After this introduction, then I'll go to the question, and is most of our students like Brazil and Argentina are coming because of the word of mouth. But during the last 5 years, this has been changing a little bit, And all the digital channels and all the social media was growing and growing and growing. And I really think that this rocket high during the pandemic. So in my company, I'm not speaking about the other companies in Colombia because I can, but we have had a very interesting switch. And we pass of 85% of our students to come via recommendation to about 30%, increasing the number of students, not only the percentage did not decrease, but the number of students increased, and we are receiving more students via social media and social campaigns. Regardless if the students are coming by social media and social campaigns, you will always have, as Alexander and Gabi mentioned, the parents or the students wanting to talk to a human being. Sometimes we are asked like, oh, can I see your office? Is there anyone in your office that can show me around? Well, you're having an interview with me. Why do you want to see the office? And the reason why they want to see us and see the office is because they feel secure, because it's a lot of insecurity in Latin America. So it is switching, but it's still a big component of this, the word of mouth. That's what I wanted to add.
Thank you all. Thank you for those insights. Some of which we've heard before, but it's so great to hear the importance of words like trust and confidence and partner, not just a broker, as Gabi mentioned. So let's switch to the some of the meat here, and that is the challenges. We often hear that there are challenges working with US-based English language programs due to, and I don't want to feed problems, but due to some government policies, bureaucracy, et cetera. So what are some of these challenges that you see working with US-based English language programs? And then perhaps the perfect magic solution to some of those challenges, but at least can you share some of those challenges so that we can start, innovating and thinking about how to address them. And Felipe, why don't we start with you? I'm just flipping back and forth.
Okay, well, I think the challenges have to be categorized depending on different aspects and different topics. So one challenge is perhaps why we do not have, I'm just putting the hat of English US, why we don't have the number of students that we think that we should have from Latin America. That's the first challenge, and that is usually related with the way that we do business or promote our business. And one of the things that is different, or that I see that is different, is that some of the other countries that are very high in numbers are also very high on investing in the region and visiting the regions and putting the product forward and putting their product and the country in the top of mind of the agents. And I personally feel that sometimes we see not that good amount of presence of US institutions into some countries. And that is probably related with a straight return. And the times have changed of the straight return. The ROI, the return of the investment is changing. The times of the ROI is changing. So before the markets were like a harvest, where I just put a seed here and I know mostly how many students I'm going to get. And those were the marketing strategies that I was putting money into it. But the markets are very much competitive now. And the straight return is no longer there. This is watering the plant every day, every month, so I can get some students in the future. So in my opinion, that's the first thing about the challenges, and is how we can get these students coming to our offices and how we as agents have enough tools and enough support to keep you in our minds, not us, because at the end of the story, the person that is selling the course are not us owners of the companies, is our advisors, and the advisors should have the presence of that. The second part is the proceedings. Some institutions are very easy to work with. Some institutions are very difficult to work with. And at the end of the story, we should realize that we are not alone, and the competition is not my partner that is in Madison or somewhere in US. My competition now, and us as agents, the competition is global. So I should be having benchmarkings with other countries. I should be looking at Canada and see how Canada works, why they are so successful in what they are doing in the proceedings, in everything. What is Australia doing? What kind of bills or things I should be putting forward to the government to do these kind of things? So sometimes we feel that simple things, like I'm going to put an example. There is a form that you guys use in America, which is the W8 whatever thing form. That is horrible to feel for us to get a commission. I have been facing the form and I'm like, what shall I write here? And I've been in this market, I've been in this business for 20 years. So if I tell one of my advisors that my commission has not been paid for 2 months because we haven't been able to crack it down a form that is a formality that I'm not paying taxes in the US, that advisor is going to say, what's the point? If I sell this course in Canada, which is actually a couple of miles from your institution, then my commission, I can even keep my commission and I don't have to fill any form. So different challenges. And the good point about this is that all those challenges and this, sorry, Alexander, sorry, Gabi, I got excited about this. Everything that you guys are doing here, talking to us, is the correct way forward. Because the first thing that we need to know to sort any issues that we have is to know that they are actually happening and that we could do better. So count on us to fix those things. And I believe that, I mean, it's a natural, US is a natural market. I ask myself sometimes why we don't have more students enrolling there. Pricing, proceedings, positioning, branding, we have to sort them all. Sorry, I just got carried away by that.
Thank you, Felipe. As always, we appreciate the honesty and the specific examples, and in this case too, the image of watering and fertilizing a beautiful flower too. So, Alexandre, do you want to add to those challenges and potential solutions?
Actually, I like the way Felipe mentioned the benchmarking, and honestly, you know, not taking anything personal here. It's very interesting for you all to look at what Canada has been doing in Brazil to promote international education and the country itself over here. You know, the US is really big in the Brazilian life for years, you know, but you know, Canada has learned and has been doing this so well. For example, I just before getting to this meeting with you all, I was united with other 40 agents here from Brazil in a mission that we are departing next Friday to organize by Language Canada, which is the association kind of similar to EnglishUSA maybe, you know, to bring in all the most important agents in Brazil to meet with several schools over there, like a big fan trip and everything, you know. So these kind of things, you know, really bring, you know, the country as a top of mind for the agent and also for the public. So I really like this point of the benchmark. And I mentioned this benchmark thing on Canada in another event a few weeks ago when we were discussing with the association in the UK. What can we do there, you know, to make our numbers better? So maybe even you know, taking a look at the country marketing, it might be a very good thing as well. So maybe this is something that can be taken a look closer. So I'll have a lot more to add, but maybe you can go forward and I'll bring some other ideas later on.
Great. And Gabby, do you want to add?
Just want to say I agree with my colleagues, and there is a path that we can walk together. Yeah, you can learn a bit from us and from what we do with other destinations, and that way maybe we can develop something a little less difficult, because getting the student visa is already difficult. So, I mean, that has nothing to do with educators. But I mean, if we make things better, then of course we'll start working together.
Thank you. And just to toot our own horn here, I think, you know, setting up this affiliation with our three agent associations here is, you know, is part of this. It's the communicating information, sharing concerns, problems, those that we have heard before, you know, some that are new. And Mackenzie posted a question here in the chat. I was gonna, if I'm gonna capture it, I'm not multitasking as well as I used to do, but, you know, some of the things that Alexandre and Felipe and Gabby refer to, you know, they're big country level issues, but when you do see those calls for action go out from EnglishUSA and from NAPSA, TESOL, et cetera, when it has to do with country, you know, federal government level decisions, please, you know, we've got to take action on those calls, because the advocacy level of the international education perspective, as we know, the federal and state and local levels, this all comes from the government of the people. So pay attention to those calls for action. We also wanted to ask concerns that parents and students, clients may have about studying in the US. Some may be quite obvious if anybody picks up the paper on a regular basis, but at this point in time, in fact, I may just make it interesting here. And, you know, could you name what the top 2 or 3 concerns are from parents and students? And Gabby, why don't we start with you?
Well, mostly concerns regarding safety and care. If the student chooses a host family, for instance, nowadays with all the restrictions and all the care you have to, I mean, you need to have with COVID, of course, but mostly, I mean, that, and I guess communication. Parents, because as Felipe said before, we are Latinos, and we are really caring for our children, and we need to know what they are up to every day. So we need to be communicated. I mean, not only from the academic point of view, but also from the social point of view. Those are the concerns nowadays.
Thank you. And how about Felipe?
Yes, I mean, it's the same here. The only thing that I want to mention is that sometimes we are a bit spoiled and high maintenance, our students. So for us, which is our job as an agent, is just to make sure exactly what they are going to receive. Sometimes expectation of what parents and students got in their head is different to the reality that they are going to face. And that is where our pre-departure meetings and our follow-up kind of create that standard. It's quite funny that we in Latin America, with the security that we have, like in a country like Colombia or some others, we are concerned about safety in United States or Canada, but that's the reality. And it's because we are very attached to the family and very protective, but it's exactly the same in Colombia, as Gabi mentioned.
Thank you. And Alexandra?
I would just, point out or emphasize the importance of the accommodation portion of each program. You know, I don't think we have to discuss here the quality of each education academic-wise, because, as you as an association have your standards and everything, the same as us here as agents. But, when we put together international education package, it starts with the academic interest, but then it comes the rest of the package, and the accommodation is something vital, for this to be successful. Why? Because it really brings, the way we treat them so close here, as Gabi said, Felipe repeated. So these students must feel the same over there. So, if we're dealing with a homestay, of course, we don't really want a homestay that really runs as a hotel for the students. You know, they're really looking forward to that extra experience. They wanna be close to these people in this homestay. You know, if you are helping the students arrange some kind of a student accommodation, you know, like a residence or something, you know, even the cheap options, they are very expensive in our money here. So overall speaking, only people who have good money here can afford international education programs in the United States. So you know, they have highest expectations when they get there. You know, even if it is that, I don't know, $200 a week house or something, you know, apartment, you know, it has to have a certain quality. You know, if not, you know, just maybe organizing cheap accommodation that doesn't really meet some kind of standard. It's better not only don't even offer to a Brazilian student, you know, or to a Latin American student. So closing up, you know, accommodation is very important, and I think families are really most of the time more worried about this than the academic quality of the programs, overall speaking.
Thank you. This is insightful to hear what us in this field believe in strongly is the focus on the student support. I would have expected to hear a few other different types of concerns, and I'm glad I didn't hear those. But it's nice, you know, it's that student support, the family, you know, the family, the relationships, very important. I skipped over one question that came up quite a bit, and after this question, we'll see if the audience has others that you can either ask aloud or you can write. But I should have asked about online training, online courses. Is there a market for those types of programs, English language training, of course, in your markets? And we can start with Alexandra.
Yes and no. Honestly, you know, for let's say ESL program from an American school to be marketable here in Brazil, it has to be really cheap. You know, it cannot cost the same as the student going there for the in-person program. You know, in Brazil, there are several local English institutes that have put together, you know, even like international companies that have put together their online training in English and everything. And, you know, they bring this to a very, very affordable price. So, you know, just trying to sell the program at kind of at, you know, if it's the price is really not that low, you know, I don't really think it's going to be successful. And then by the other hand, you know, I believe that especially when we talk about pathway programs or for students who are looking for undergraduate placements or graduate placements in American universities afterwards, this can be an opportunity, but at the same time, because it really can lower the cost at the general you know, program or project for each student. But I still believe that us as agents, we're not really well prepared to convince people to show them that it's really a good idea to maybe start this whole long-term project online and then go in person afterwards. So we would call for, you know, an extra training or next approach on this, trying to help you all in this sense as agents.
It's a great suggestion, Alexandra. How about Felipe? Online training market.
Sure. I think the online training market is here to stay, but it's not going to be the main way to deliver the courses. I think the experience to mingle, to gather with another different students, to learn about the cultures, to have a muffin in the coffee right at the corner and just chit chat with the person is not going to go away. But it's going to be a hybrid, and it's depending on the type of course. And I couldn't agree more with Alexander here. I think it's a hybrid. Within 2020 and 21, for my company, the biggest selling product was online general English courses from one particular specific institution in Canada that got the good combination between flexibility and price, and they're just killing the market. I'm not going to mention who that might be. For the future, and that's going to remain in 2022, in my opinion, but online training is a great complement for the students to start getting great education from qualified and respectable institutions in US before they got this in-person experience. It's also a great opportunity to carry on learning after you have this in-person experience. So this is going to be before and after, and it's going to be a great complement. If the institutions manage to create these links with ESL institutions and universities where we have a student that is enrolled at the university but will need to pick up on their English ability, and this student is below B1, offering online courses is going to be key, because then it will put the costs down, and our markets are price sensitive. So I think, as a summary, they are very popular in Colombia right now. It's not going to be the main product in the future, but it's a great complement to find a formula where I can just include and kind of bound them with my course with different prices and flexibility so I can get more revenue.
Thank you. Great idea about follow-up online too. We talk often about keeping up with alumni in such of our programs, but offering them some additional training, online training after. And how about Gabby? Anything you'd like to add about the online training market piece?
Yes, not to be sold on its own, unless it is, as Felipe said, as part of a pathway to enter college or university. But here we are selling quite a lot of CELTA programs, online CELTA programs. They are delivered in different parts of the world by one institution in particular, because it saves this is for teacher training. So it saves the cost of accommodation, and they get the certificate and they become a trained and certified teacher of English. So that's one particular thing. Then I believe that with all the technology that schools have developed during the pandemic, they could give some extra lessons, before the student travels abroad, in order to give them a taster. That would be useful, and you have all the material available. So in that sense, that would be the only thing. But we in Argentina, we haven't been able to sell ESL programs online, on its own, for people who just want to learn the language. It's always with a purpose, to apply for college or university, not on its own.
Great, thank you. I wanted to open it up, and we have, it's 45 after the hour, whatever hour you are on. Is there anybody on the call that would just like to unmute themselves and ask an additional question? The minute I continue, someone will say something. I'm going to ask one more, and then if we don't have a question, we'll close it up with some closing remarks. The concept of conditional admission, where a student client can studies English and may or may not have a conditional admission, or has a conditional admission letter to another institution or the same institution. Is that a concept that you think all of your agents understand, along with the parents and students, or is there room there for EnglishUSA to help out with that? I'll leave that open to anybody who wants to answer that. Put you on the spot.
We are used to it in Argentina. we get conditional letters, and with that, student can apply for the visa until the definite acceptance letter arrives. I don't know, Felipe and Alexandre.
Same in Colombia, depending on the type of course. So if it's an ESL course or a course that is not a higher education course, usually conditional letters are not something very common. But when you have this course linked to a higher course where you depend on the language or IELTS or whatever it is, then it's very common, and there is a clear understanding of that. And we can apply also for the visa based on that letter, and it's very helpful.
Okay, thank you. The questions that we have in the chat are somewhat related, but you know how we've got a variety of people on this. On this call. There are attendees who have been working with agents for years and years. Some that have just started, and some that are trying to learn more. That's why they're here. What is the best way that you would all suggest for an English language program to get started? Do they contact you directly? Do they contact the agent association? Or I'm gonna leave it there without even offering up any other options. What's the best way to get started, to get that relationship started?
Shall I or shall you, Gabi?
I mean, very short. That they can just send us an email, and we will provide them with all agencies in our association so that they can browse their websites, have a look at how they work, visit their social media channels, and then see which agency suits their needs. Yes, or because sometimes you need to have something in common with a company to start working with them. So I think that's a good way, because then they would know which agencies belong to the association and try to avoid contacting those who don't. Because I mean, if they are accredited by the association, they are also accredited by FELCA, which is the International Federation of Associations. So that will give them assurance that they are working with a partner that has credentials.
Yes, I complement that. I completely agree with Gabi. Also is to understanding what type of institution or agent you need to be working with, because in all our countries, we have agencies that are probably focused on juniors or on higher education, or agencies that are managing the entire type of students. So depending on whom you need to promote your courses, then you have to choose that. My other suggestion is before getting or contacting the market or not, just analyze how the market, and we will be more than happy to share this information with you. You can contact us and say, well, listen, I'm going to the market. It's our first time. What should I consider? How I negotiate? What shall I be asking for? What is the general commission for these courses? So I know that what the agent is saying or what you are proposing is according to what we are doing. So the understanding, a little understanding, minimum understanding of the market is very important. And also if possible, the understanding on why the other countries or your competitors in other markets are doing, so you can be at the same level and have a great position in a negotiation.
And maybe provide a sample of one of those W forms that Felipe doesn't like to fill.
Please do.
Another question that came in the chat is, what are the main reasons for your clients, students, to go overseas to study language? What are the main reasons or motivations? Has there been any change in population over the past several years? But why do your clients go to study English overseas?
Well, there you go.
No, you.
I will take, we usually, I mean, before when I was mentioning that we have some school partners and some other partners, their benefit from information that we collect with our agencies. And this question is, this what you are asking is something that we asked all our members a couple of months ago and that we share with our partners. And then the reasons, I'm going to just read this because I have, the thing is opportunity to work while they are studying, migrating opportunities, option to work after graduating, pandemic management could be a choice. I'm just reading, it might not be related. Migration benefits, visa process is easy, reference from friends, professional opportunities, price, academic quality, and not that much the weather. Okay, so they would like to usually go outside to have better opportunities to either have to stay there or not, depending on the country, or to come back well prepared to have a better job. So it's usually those kind of things.
Gabby, you had something?
Yeah, I wanted to say that they have both professional and personal goals. They want to develop as a human being. They want to broaden their horizons. They want to look for new opportunities. Some of them to emigrate, as Felipe said before, but others just to come back with some added value to their profiles and become citizens of the world. I mean, they see the whole experience, not just the language. They see it as, an integral part of their profile.
If I may, just briefly, I forgot to mention something, and is those are the reasons, general reasons, but there are some other reasons that we are aware in the macroeconomic and macro politics of all of our region could be of great benefit. For example, if a country got elections or not, like Colombia, and fear is in the people, students are more likely to go and study abroad. If a government is of certain beliefs, political beliefs, like is happening in countries like Bolivia or some other countries, people are more likely to leave the country regardless the reason. So we have to be aware of those political and security situations to capitalize on some specific markets too.
Thank you. And Alexandra, did you want to add anything?
I would just add, that it's especially for people who would travel to the US for the first time, as the international education market has become very mature in Brazil. I believe a lot of people nowadays, they believe that's more, it's smarter for them to travel even for a short-term, a program for 2 or 3, 4 weeks, taking some ESL program to have this American experience. It might be smarter to do this than just do a leisure travel or do some tourism over there in the United States. So, and that's why, this is also very important. A lot of people open their doors for maybe new programs or new opportunities they wanna find in the United States in the future, coming there for the first time with an ESL program. And we're not only talking here about teenagers, but also young professionals and even more mature people. So that's why we always point out that when they get there, they feel welcome. They are in a nice place, in a nice homestay, in a nice environment that really embraces them as we do here. So because this can really open up the doors for so many other people in the future.
Thank you. I'm going to put our 3 on the spot, and I have a message here to put in the chat. Are you okay if I share your email addresses?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay.
No problem.
I'm gonna hit enter then on that. Well, we want to thank. I am going to show just some upcoming events, but thank you to Gabby, who came from the countryside to a cafeteria for a better signal. We appreciate her making that distance, and Felipe, also from Colombia. I know we all appreciate the honesty and the just the remarks on the situation that are just thoughtful and insightful. And Alexandre, we appreciate the representation from Brazil. All three of you have, so far this has been a great relationship. I feel like it can only get stronger in the information that we share. So I do want to thank all of you. I am going to share just some quick, not well, I'm just going to do this for now. But just to let you know, coming up this week, it's been a busy week. So this week we had our event today. Tomorrow we have our book club. I think we're on habit number 4 through Covey's highly effective people. Next week we have an informal meetup, and for all of you out in California, Hawaii, Oregon, Washington, this one's later. It's 8 p.m. Eastern. So we're really hoping that that this means that some of our West Coast friends can join us. That's next week. And then in late January, we have our third Zoom around, and these are member-led facilitated sessions for dealing with that never-ending topic of multi-level classes. The early bird rates for PDC end in 2 weeks. So $20 is $20 that you save if you register early. And mark your calendars. I know the future is unknown still, but we do plan to be in person in Denver in June, May and June for NAFSA. So our event will be on June 1st. And if you've been with EnglishUSA for a while, you know that we've been there before. So thank you again to our speakers and to the attendees, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, see you soon.